Welcome to CCM Talks. My name is Gavin Ekstrom, and I'm with the great JJ Mazzo. Today, we're just going to do an interview style, ask some questions back and forth to hopefully help you impact your business and continue the growth. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me, buddy. Good to have you here, too.
It's been a great event. What have been some of the takeaways that you've learned just this morning in the early breakout?
I think the scaling and integrating technology and AI and how to use it properly for your branding in the marketplace, and how to utilize social media to scale like Tom Ferry did. Prior I was like, if you could teach us all exactly how you do what you do, that'd be great. He's like, okay. And he literally went up there and gave us his exact strategy from going from, 10 million to 75 million in revenue. So for us to be able to have that blueprint to replicate is valuable.
Are you embracing AI, or is there a fear around AI?
I love it. Like I know you and your AI are like best friends. Mine is like, it's like I have Albert Einstein to help me strategize and like, what's the word I want to use? Strategize and just like spitball. That's my spitball on like ideas. So it helps me be really creative and scale that creativity way faster than I ever was before. I love it. So I embrace it. And I'm all about leverage and scaling. So if I can utilize technology to do that, I'm going to embrace it all day long.
Technology is a big component to minimize burnout in today's market, but with all we've dealt with over the 36 months and it's still lingering, how have you continued to not just stay complacent, but actually rise in this environment where most people are burning out and throttling it back? I'm watching you writing a book, partnering on a coaching program, and it's like full throttle. How are you minimizing or not coming up to burnout?
I think I focus every day. I spend 2 hours on my mind, body, and soul before I start the day. So we're in a business where, for both of us, right,
Yes.
people are taking withdrawals all day long.
Yes.
And so I need to make sure the cash machine is full, that I'm putting in those deposits myself before I start the day. And high accountability and coaching. I have lots of coaches and lots of outside counsel to help me in all areas of my life that I leverage to be able to help me through that and hold me accountable. And then I just find that sometimes we cut ourselves short from the standpoint of what we think we can handle versus what we can actually handle. And I think what we can handle when our tank's half full versus what we can handle when our tank is full are two totally different things. So making sure I focus on keeping the tank full, mind, body, spirit, so that I can output a whole lot more for other people, for myself.
So I understand that, but you can't pour from an empty cup.
No.
And so who and how are you filling your cup? Is it the mind, body, soul that actually helps you fill your cup? And take us deeper into that then.
Yeah, so for me, it's my faith. So my faith in Christ. It's also my workouts in the morning. It's my meditation in the morning. It is spending quiet time. So it is about 2.5 hours, journaling, reading. I mean, if I go through my whole thing, visualization, I take the time to really set that aside every morning. And I wake up early to do it. And I love waking up early. So 4:30 is when my day starts, 7:30 when my me time is over. And then I get dressed and then hit the ground running at 8 o'clock. So that time for me is everything.
How long has that practice been into play? Is that new for you?
It's newer. It's been in play for about a year and a half, maybe pushing 2 years now.
Yeah.
Prior to that, I probably, I was 80 pounds heavier. I was stressed out. I had multiple layers and levels of anxiety in all areas of my life. And when I read a book called The 5 a.m. Club by Robin Sharma, who's one of my favorite authors. And by the way, I didn't read a book for 25 years, and now I read 2 books a month, right? So it's those things those limiting beliefs and those things we tell ourselves that are total BS, that when you do hard things, you push through them, it builds confidence and increases performance in all areas of our lives, right? And so after I read that book, I put a routine together. It started small. I had one thing, then I did 2 things, then 3 things, and 4 things. And now I have just an array of things that I do in the morning time and in the evening time, because it feels good, you know? So it used to be wake up in the morning, eat some donuts, smoke a cigarette, get rid of the hangover, start work at 6:30, right? And then grind till 8 o'clock, drink till I passed out. Like, those aren't great habits. And I think a lot of times when you're in stress when you're stressed out and you're in a sales environment, it's highly competitive and you want to win really, really good, you can either have the good habits or the bad habits. And until it is that you take the time to really embrace them, know what they are, and have someone help hold you accountable to those, then you're going to go with the path of least resistance, which is, donuts, smoking, and booze.
How would someone get started? What would be one tip that you could give them today that they could get started?
To get their mind, body, and soul,
Yeah.
man, I would just say get up in the morning, read and move.
Yeah.
Read and move, and read, move, and pray. If you just did those things,
Yes.
and I don't care moving, I'm not saying do a crazy workout like we do, but man, you just get up and go for a 45-minute walk, and if you'll want to read, listen to an audiobook, and then just gratitude. Man, if you just wake up and the first thing you do is fill your mind with all the things that you're grateful for and how blessed we are, then it doesn't stand to all of the negativity bias that's going to come your way through the rest of the day, which is very easy to overtake.
Yeah. You hadn't read a book in 25 years.
Yeah.
Yet now a USA Today bestsellers list with your first book, one of many, I hope. But did that help inspire you to be able to write?
It did. For me, writing the book was, man, it was just something that as I was going through some transformation in my life after my father passed, it was on my heart. We were going through the branding stuff with Impact, and then I went and did the branding stuff for my own business. I was having like an identity, like how do I wrap all these hats I wear into one? And out of that came this format for the book. And then it was, oh, you should talk to this person, and oh, you should talk to Wiley, and oh, you should do this. And I just followed the thread. And I think a lot of times people have a thread to pull, and a lot of times we don't pull it. This time I just pulled it and kept pulling it, and I'm still pulling it and seeing what comes out the other side. It didn't have any intentions other than making sure it was going to be a bestseller, because I'm like, if we're going to do it, we got to do it big. And then having amazing support from Ron and CCM and all of the other coaches and people in my life. So it's been a blessing.
Did you find that book helped you identify your purpose? Because I feel like sometimes I'm chasing what is my purpose now. I've done all of the things, and it's like, well, what's next? And so I feel like even today, as I'm sitting here talking to you, is I am chasing purpose, right? How did you lock into that? Now I feel like you know your purpose more than ever before.
It definitely guided me towards when you're reading about your past. So it did a few things. I had to become more at peace with my past.
Yes.
And in doing so, my purpose became more clear through my faith. Yes. And my faith was in my head; it wasn't in my heart. And after my father passing at 45. And I was 45, he was 90. So we're talking half life, right? Yeah. And I took care of him for about 15 years prior to that. And you're expecting it, you know? And when that all came to head at the exact same time, it was just this area that just all happened at once, man. And I think just embracing it. And once it is that I was able to do that, then I had found my purpose through my faith. And then in doing so, as a man of faith, it's how to give, how to help, how to push, which just happens to be really what we do every day, whether it's helping CCM or helping loan officers, or whether it's helping at Impact or anything else.
Yeah, I feel like the one reason I haven't had burnout is I do what I love, that I'm passionate about. Yeah. And now it's tying that purpose to it. And so before we get to the next question that you're going to ask me, is there another book inside you?
Yeah, there is. So we're almost done with the second one, which is these devotionals. So part of my morning routine is I write devotionals. I send them out to the entire division every day. And those have been collected, and we have a year's worth of those. So those will be coming next. So exciting. I just, you just want to focus on one thing at a time and execute. And so I feel like we've done that. And now it's time to, go on to the next one.
What did you learn from this book about you?
That I still had to make peace with my past. When you're writing a book and if you're telling your story in that book, you have to realize you're telling their story, and maybe you've like me, you've got through therapy, you've thought about it, you've lived through it, whatever. But when you have to read it 6, 8, 10 times and edit it for accuracy, so you're making sure this story is very, very accurate, right? I'm pretty sure that my mom was pregnant when she had me, and my dad got married, and I went to go get their marriage certificate so that because I couldn't remember their wedding date. And it's locked down, and I can't. Like, it requires a judge to unseal it, which I found was really, really weird. And just things like that, you're like, wow, now we got to deal with this. That's pretty strange. So you have to really go through and really get the details right and live through that. So that was the biggest surprise.
Love it.
Yeah,
Love it.
All right. Here we go, Mr. Gavin. So how do you define impact in your career today? Knowing career and home life and everything, but how do you define impact in your career? And I would add to that life.
Yeah, so I'm going to be more vulnerable than just giving you the cliche of working in business, but understanding being present where you are. So often in life with my kids, I would be there, but I wasn't really there because I was focused on something else. And the minute that I shifted that I'm going to be present where my feet are and be present in the time, and that God's given me that time with these children, I'm not going to be here forever. They're not going to be here forever. And just knowing that those are opportunities for me to impact their life in a positive way. And so I take those moments as coaching moments. I was sitting at dinner last night with a group, and my daughter called me. And so I took the call, and she starts rambling off, and she goes, "Wait, it sounds really loud. Where are you?" And I'm like, "I'm at a business meeting." And she goes, "Dad, but I just want to tell you, I did 5 interviews, nailed all 5 of them, got an opportunity to go work for Ralph Lauren. And they asked me the question, where did you get your work ethic?" And she said, "So Dad, I was just calling to tell you that I got my work ethic from you. So thank you." And so I said, "Baby, I'll call you a little later. I'm super proud of you." But just taking those moments, like when I take a kid to practice or to school, not taking a work call or a friend call, it's like, hey, the 15-minute drive, I'm going to give you better coaching than the 2 hours with your actual coach, because I'm going to teach you on life. And so telling them, hey, these are some of the things that I've done wrong. This is the path I see you going down. I always remember my mom saying, "Show me your friends and I'll show you your future." And I didn't really understand that, right?
That's the
And
truth.
so then as you get older, you're like, that's what she meant. And so I'm telling my older son, I'm like, "Hey, son, like, listen, show me your friends and I'll show you your future." I said, I see some of your friends that they're good kids. They need your leadership.
Yeah.
They need your guidance. They don't know it yet because they're immature, but they're yearning for it. They want that. So reach a hand out to them, be vulnerable with them, and lead them, because that's what God made you as a leader, and continue to do that.
When did that switch for you? You know, I know, when you're in sales and we're crazy people, and you're as competitive as anybody.
Yeah.
When did that really switch from you? I mean, you have 6 kids. They range all over the place,
Yeah.
So, and we always joke, right? Like, man, I hope I don't screw them up. And
Yeah.
you think you screw them up, and then they get older, you're like, I didn't screw them up that
Yeah.
bad, right?
Yeah.
So when did that being in the present in that moment click for you?
November 6th, 2023, when my daughter was diagnosed with leukemia.
Yeah.
That was the day that nothing else mattered.
Nothing else mattered.
Yeah, it was that shift of, hey, you don't want that for any child, but she has it. So now how are you going to make sure that she's embraced and loved all the way through, but your other children are not going to be forgotten? And so that was the shift where I just said, hey, this is where God needs me. This is where I need me. And so just focusing more in that space and letting everything else work itself out. My team rose up, the company rose up, and you rose up. Everybody put their arms around me, letting me know that, hey, it's going to be okay, and that this is in God's hands. And this is just one more thing. I love what Ed Milet says. Life happens for you, not to you.
Yeah.
And so this was just one of those things that it was happening for us, and we just had to figure out why. And I think we've come to terms with that. And on January 17th of 26, she'll ring the bell, and it'll be a chapter that my wife gets to write about in her book.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
But I think impact is all around us. I think it's a choice, right? And just by opening, impact comes in such small little forms. It could be just seeing a lady and opening the door for her. I do that all the time. Is if I see a lady coming in, I'll wait and hold the door for her.
I saw you do that with Kimberly here when we were here.
It just makes an impression on them that can change the trajectory of their whole day, right? And so I just look for the little opportunities to make a big impact, and I think that I've lived my life that way. Watching my mom work 3 jobs and no one really pouring into her cup and doing everything I could as a young man to do that for her, it's just carried on to my adulthood.
How do you stay grounded? Throughout all the success that you've had, how do you stay grounded?
That's a good question. I think I'm the same person that I'm still a little shit. I'm still I want to be the energy of the room, and I want to have fun, but I want to show a lot of love. And so I think that just over time that you realize that any of this can go away, and you're left with just yourself and your family and your friends. And so don't do anything to disrupt that, and keep that as close as you can. And just understanding that this is all, we talk about God a lot, and my faith isn't as strong as yours. I'm working on it. But this is all for Him. Yeah. It's for nobody else. And it's like, you have a nice shirt. Well, this will end up in my son's closet and eventually at Goodwill.
Yeah.
It's just stuff. And so enjoy what you can, but don't value over vanity, and just be humble, be the same person, because you were once there. You were once there, and so just making sure that they realize that you remember those days, that you're not so far removed for it either.
What is as a high performer, what is your biggest insecurity?
Love, still being loved. That's the thing. I'm in therapy, and I'm okay to admit it. But when I look back at it, it's like I just want to be loved.
Yeah.
There's a difference between like and love, right? I can like many people, but I like the embrace and love, and that's truly it. Is I just want to be loved by many.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I love you, buddy. So
Thanks. Same to you.
how do you, let's change gears a little bit. How do
Yeah.
you help originators? Because I feel like you're really good at this in your marketplace, right?
Yeah.
How do you help originators stand out in the marketplace today? How do they really differentiate yourself? What advice do you give them?
Yeah, just focusing on what works for them, right? It's not a one size fits all.
Right.
Some loan officers may want to be on social, some run from social, some may want to do events, and some may just want to do a one-on-one rather than a one-to-many. So really honing in and identifying what moves the needle for them, and then just building a system, structure, process with the right people to support that avenue. And it's super simple. It's like every year, and I'll do it again this year, is a T-square of what you love and what you don't like to do. And then let's just focus on what you love to do, because if we can just focus on those 3 or 4 things and find somebody else to take care of the rest, it's magic.
Yeah.
It's magic.
Yeah.
And I think so many people don't take the time to really hone in on that, or they don't even know the skill set to really just, hey, let's just focus on stay in your lane of what you're really good at doing. And if we just rinse and repeat that, it's not like going to work. I haven't gone to work in like 10, 15 years.
Yeah, well, and I think that because you have a coach's mindset, which kind of segues me to my next question is, how do you translate a coaching mindset into your own business results?
Gosh, that's a tough question too, because I practice what I preach, right? And so if I'm coaching on it, I have to be doing it in my own day-to-day. Otherwise, I'm a hypocrite.
Yeah.
And so when I made the transition of partnering with you and starting Impact, it was I didn't believe in that model that I was doing, and it wasn't for me. And so I'm coaching on something that I truly didn't believe in, and I wasn't doing it in my own business.
Right.
And so now we have the platform where I'm coaching on what I believe in. I've got proof of concept, and I'm doing it every single day without fail, consistently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's that self accountability through integrity, right? That helps. Which, listen, I can say for myself, haven't always had integrity in all aspects of my life at all. But as you get older and you get wiser and you gain wisdom and you get closer to your faith, suddenly it's a thing. And the more that you do it, you start realizing how much that self-accountability and outside accountability really does move the needle and makes a big difference.
And it goes back to the first question you asked about impact. It's taking all that wizardry and wisdom and teaching your younger self. You're best equipped to teach your younger self.
Yes.
And so taking that opportunity to do that, not just in business, but in life. So again, going back to my son's friends, well, I have those same friends that over time, I keep them at a distance, but they're still friends.
Yeah.
And so it's understanding that and being able to share that with them from your lens, so they then see it too. And it takes a lot of time. Like, we're stubborn, even as adults, think of us as kids. And so it's just identifying that. And I think every opportunity is a coaching moment, but you also have to be careful. When I approach my wife or I approach my kiddos, I have to ask them, hey, is this a coaching moment or is this a listening moment?
Yeah, I'm working on that. You're really good at that. I mean, you are, how we got close, I remember, was because you were really, really great at asking questions. Where does that curiosity come from? Because I've known you a long time. I don't know that you've always been like that, but I feel as though you've always been like that, but really have honed it down. And when you're as curious as you are about other people, it is fuel on the fire in building relationships and trust. And I think that's really something that we can all take pages from. Where does that come from?
Yeah, just truly as a young man, always being curious and wanting to know more, that I wasn't going to be the kid that's going to sit down and study, but I'm going to ask you the questions to help me get the answers that I'm looking for. And just not being afraid of it. And so if I feel like, if I'm interested in you, I'm going to ask you those questions. And there's not many people that I'm not interested in really getting to know them. And I've asked some questions where I'll just tell you, I was with Jesse Itzler, and I know him and David Goggins have some strife between them. And so I was in backstage talking to Jesse at our event and leading up to the question that I really wanted to ask. And I said, tell me about your relationship with David. And he said, David who? I said, David Goggins. He said, what's your next question?
Yeah.
Just didn't want to touch it, right? Yeah. And so sometimes you can go too far, and then you got to know to pull back. But it's truly out of being curious. I think as a young man, And as you get older, you lose that curiosity. And I think that's what the world needs is more curious people. So I tell my kids right now is just don't ever lose that curiosity. Really want to learn and always be growing and have that growth mindset, because the person that may impact your life the most may not be the person that you actually think would.
Yeah, that's the truth. When I look back now, all of those people are those people.
Yeah. So you had this amazing, amazing career, and you're not done.
No.
You're not done.
I'm not dead yet.
Yeah,
no.
but what does this next era look like for you? Where are we going, JJ?
I don't know, buddy. I've worked with my coaches to hone that in. I'm focused on the here and now. So I'm focused on scaling and growing the business here across country. I'm focused on building the best manufacturing line of loans that we can for the division in conjunction with all the tools across country, and working to do so in order to increase profitability and drive down interest rates the very best that we can with what we can control, right? We can't control all the outside things. I mean, that is my focus. And then making sure, though, this year I am focusing on making sure that I have creative time set aside. When we talk about forgetting about leaving curiosity behind, I think we also leave creativity behind. And doing this book had really sparked a lot of creativity that brings me joy, that helps me in all the other aspects of my business. So now as I go into business planning into next year for the team and the division and everything else, it's from how can I make this better, and really having some fun with it, and having, chat be able to be there to spitball with and just make this, how can I make this super cool and super efficient and super profitable and super fun and make it better. So really taking that creative approach as I go into the next year and setting aside time for that and making it a priority is what I'm doing.
How much time are you spending in the business versus on the business?
I spend 1 day a week working on the business. I work on financials every single week. So I would say I spend 5 to 6 hours on financials, and I dive deep. I dive deep into the branches. I dive deep into mine. And then I spend time working on the business. So I have on Fridays is my work on business day. I have an agenda of these are the things that I do every single week. So it's going to be thank you cards, reviewing financials, checking and returning all text, emails, voicemails, etc. It's going to be preparing for, then the other is preparing for all the meetings next week. So then I have a list of all the meetings or presentations and things that I'm doing the next week so that I create the preparation around those, and then anything additional that I might have that's coming up. So then the following Monday, I just execute the play. I grab the play and I run the play.
With the technology that CCM provides, which is so robust and ahead of the competition, what are some of your favorite tools that you use at CCM?
I would say the Cube. From a marketing standpoint, from a personal producer, it's going to be Total Expert, because it is on steroids and it's fantastic. And I think that's just something I need to dive in more and more and more, because it evolves so fast.
Yes.
And then I do love the prospecting tools, loan prospecting tool, the realtor prospecting tool, getting it how it all sorts. And I love the financial tools, man. For me, Ron, I'll tell you, when I came here, it's like, and I was telling everyone in our class today, I was like, I came here and I lost a lot of money really, really fast. And Ron's like, what are you doing? I'm like, not sure I know, buddy. Like, just honest. And we worked really, really hard to turn that around. So once you really understand, you start seeing the matrix, so to speak, then man, the reporting system that we have in Edge, and then some of the new ones that the accounting team and Glenn has come out with, are next level, man. What used to take me 4 reports and hours at a time, man, I can pull this up really quick, see and identify where the area of pain is so we can address it, and then just move past it.
How much has the servicing of CCM, servicing the loans at CCM, how much has that helped you, not only in a refinance market, but stay in front of your past client base?
Well, man, I mean, having my ugly mug on every single mortgage statement doesn't hurt, right? I mean, they're seeing it over and over again. And I think the biggest thing is, man, you were in the same correspondent business that I was, right? Yes. They sell every single loan, or you broker all your loans, and then you could kiss that client's ass goodbye.
Right.
And then nowadays, you're already going to get people pounding on it just from a technology standpoint. So for us to have a system where our CEO's, really one of his top goals is to retain as many of our clients as possible, I couldn't be in more of alignment, because that's obviously our goal as well. So it's really just integrating that at every chance that we can.
And how often are you using that, as we wrap up, how often are you using that in recruiting? Because I feel like it's an unfair competitive advantage we have at CCM, and we're spoiled.
Yeah.
But yet the competition doesn't quite understand it.
No, they don't. I think I'll ask probing questions like, so what does your company do to help you keep your current past clients? What happens when the loan gets sold to another servicing? Do you find find that in doing so, that you tend to have more competition than you used to when you have them. So I think asking those right probing questions, and then just utilizing, especially now, the rapid refi tool, man.
Yes.
I mean, to be able to go in from an efficiency standpoint, identify, make calls. Like I joke around, I was like, dude, I can pay my kid like $200 a file to do refis. She's never done a loan in her life because it's really just that comprehensive. Obviously, there's a little bit more to it, but seriously, to be able to find it, identify it, bust out my HP 12C calculator, it would take me 35 minutes to be able to do something. Now that I just look and I go, oh, click. You know, so it's pretty awesome.
I think that's one of the attributes of Ron. It's like taking the complex and making it simple, and that's what CCM's about.
100%. Yeah, that's my theme of the year is simplify and do it daily.
Well, this has been awesome.
Yes.
It's been a lot of fun.
You
I'd
too.
love to do it daily.
Yeah.
So maybe we can make that happen.
Yeah, do it again, brother. You too.